Happy Monday. Greetings and welcome to the live. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to the live. Hope you're doing well today. Happy Monday. Happy Monday wherever you are. Very excited to be here with you. And today we're going to be talking about why no contact is not enough, right? And how you can become unresonant to narcissistic abuse. Happy Monday, happy Monday, happy Monday. Come on in and tell somebody. Come on in. Welcome. Today we're talking about no contact is not enough. The spiritual secret to true freedom from narcissistic abuse. So no contact is not enough. How to achieve no resonance with narcissists. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It's going to be a deep dive conversation about going beyond no contact to becoming unresonant to narcissistic abuse. So the title is No Contact is Not Enough, How to Achieve No Resonance with Narcissists. Hey, Brett, good to see you. This is what we're talking about today. So come on in and come on in and come on in. And we're going to go do a very deep dive on this topic about how an empath can eventually become unresonant to narcissistic abuse. Hi, Yvonne. Good to see you. So come on in and tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. Well, we're going to talk about how you become spiritually unresonant to anything narcissistic. And you remember the context for this is a lot of us attract narcissists because we were initiated by a narcissist or raised by a narcissist. And so our spiritual escape came from that, from escaping narcissistic abuse. And now we're going a step further to say, how do you ensure narcissists no longer show up in your life? How do you become unresonant to narcissists? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Hey, Damalgam. Hey, Live Free. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's get started. And when people join, they join when they join, and we just keep rolling. You see? So the first thing is, and particularly if you've had recent narcissists, you may have left a narcissist or they left you. You may have blocked your number or they blocked your number, or you stopped replying to them, or your relationship took up a different dynamic. But the problem is, the problem is, why do they still show up in your imagination, in your mindset? Why does your chest tighten when someone mentions the narcissist or you think about the narcissist? Why does your nervous system feel like the narcissist is still in your life? Because no contact cuts communication, but it does not cut resonance. Let me say that again. No contact cuts off communication, but no contact does not cut off energetic resonance. So today we're going beyond the trauma management, right? And we're going deep into how you deactivate the access of narcissists to your energetic field, right? Exactly, Yvonne. Your quantum body and your electromagnetic identity. And narcissism can show up in terms of people, friends, jobs, things like that. We're evicting them completely. That's the point, Yvonne. So the truth behind narcissistic abuse is generally no therapist, no healer, or no spiritual influencer will actually get into this. And we're going to get into how you become unresonant. I'm so glad to hear this, Brett. Perfect time for this subject. Came into my head as to why, sadness, etc. Really needed this. You're in the right place, Brett. You really are, my brother. So the point is, this going on contact is not about avoiding narcissists. It's about removing them completely from your field, completely. So there's no attraction mechanism in narcissistic friends, narcissistic jobs, narcissistic partners, etc., etc., etc. So although let's dismantle the myth of no contact. So we know that from a polyvagal standpoint, you think about your vagus nerve, it tells us that trauma is not stored in your memory. Trauma is stored in your autonomic nervous system, right? And according to the Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote the book, The Body Keeps the Score, that the body keeps the score long after the abuse has ended, and your body still reacts as if it's still happening, which is why you feel sad or resonant and so forth. And particularly in Vedic and even Taoist traditions, It is known that unresolved energetic entanglement creates what's called cords of karmic resonance. Yeah, this is part of your karmic contract. And it's important you realize that these are not metaphors that I'm sharing. These are measurable in subtle electromagnetic fields, which quantum physicists at UCLA, particularly Dr. Valerie Hunt, have studied. Exactly. So in resonance mechanics, a sympathetic vibration occurs when two systems naturally amplify each other, good, bad, empath, narcissist. Therefore, the narcissist isn't haunting you. It is your unhealed trauma that's still playing their frequency. Oh, Lord. I had to drop the phone for that. Let me say that again. You see, that was a bombshell. You saw the phone drop, particularly for those on TikTok. I'll say it again. I'll say it again. The narcissist isn't haunting you. It is your unhealed trauma that's still playing their frequency. So no contact ends the conversation with the narcissist. Thank you, Denise. Right? But no resonance ends the energetic entanglement. Mic drop, exactly. We're playing the song energetically, Yvonne. So well said. So the point is, you don't just need stronger boundaries, although boundaries are very key. What you need is a new frequency architecture. I'm going to say it again. Escaping narcissistic abuse and ensuring that you don't attract any more narcissists is not just about stronger boundaries, which it is, but it's about having a new frequency architecture or a new name, a new persona, a new way of being. So, and there's ways to do this where you can scan your nervous system, you can visualize geometric patterns. I particularly like what Drumvalo Melchizedek did with the Merkaba meditation. Is anybody familiar with Drumvalo Melchizedek and the Merkaba or Merkaba meditation? It's all about the flower of life, but I don't want to get into more esoteric details here. But if anybody's familiar with this word, just say, I know it. So it is research done by the Heart Math Institute has shown that the heart's magnetic field is 5,000 times stronger than the brain. In other words, the heart is superior to the brain. And it projects up to 8 feet of frequency in front of you, to the left of you, to the right of you, and below you, right? This means your heart frequency is the real boundary. So it's not just about cutting cords, it's about rewiring your nervous system and rewiring your bio-spiritual firewall. Am I making sense? Gamalgam, Penda Diop, Salam Alaikum. This is what we're talking about. You see? So let's talk a little bit about the science of resonance, right? And here's where we're going to get into physics a little bit, right? You have to you have to fight against intrusive thoughts and emotions from light and inferior. Melissa, you said it. You said it, Melissa. You said it. So let's get into physics a little bit. You see, a narcissist's energy is low vibration, whereas an empath's energy is high vibration. Let me put it another way. The narcissist, there's only two emotions, love or hate. So the narcissist primarily lives in the frequency of hate, whereas the empath, even though unhealed, lives in the frequency of love. Simple. So low vibration, hate, high vibration, love. You see? But when your unhealed trauma holds the same frequency, the narcissist can lock in. In other words, the narcissist can only have contact with you when they trigger you into low vibrations, or you yourself are unhealed, therefore you play out low vibrations in your mind, like you said, Yvonne, about the song. And fear, you're right. Beautiful guitar. You're absolutely right. And so the point is, when your unhealed trauma holds the same frequency that the narcissist can trigger in you, you become like two tuning forks. But the twist is, even if this happened to you, you're not broken. You're just tuned into low vibrations, and you were tuned by trauma to resonate with the wrong signal, Yvonne. It happens to us. That's what it is. And in fact, research in quantum entanglement shows that human energy fields link across time and space. So a narcissist can be out of your life, but still be in your field if you're unconsciously participating in energetic entanglement. You see, so instead of just blocking someone on your phone or cutting them off, it's really about getting to a place of non-resonance where you're blocking them from your magnetic field, from your nervous system, and from your cosmic timelines. And this is all about realizing that the boundaries you exercise are not just physical boundaries and psychological boundaries, but also have to be energetic. Exactly. Self-awareness is key. And there's many ways to do it. I'm a big fan of polyvagal theory and using your vagus nerve, right, to protect yourself, right? And you can do tapping to activate your vagus nerve, or hum om, which activates your vagus nerve. Others practice energy shielding, right, where you seal your energies so you're always vibrating at a higher level, and the atmosphere fine-tunes your balance. Exactly, Melissa. You see, but the important thing to realize is when you energetically decide that you no longer want to be entangled with a narcissist, therefore you're no longer entangled with anything that is low vibrational or hateful, right? You no longer punish yourself for going through the things that you went through. You no longer hold it against the narcissist that they did what they did to you. You're able to forgive them. And self-awareness, Yvonne, is simply being aware that you play these trauma loops, not the narcissist. You see, they can shift you to the one love, Brett. This is what we're talking about. And thank you for tuning in. That you begin to realize that you're in a place of no resonance when you stop rehearsing past arguments in your mind. When you no longer feel the ping when they text or stalk your social media. You know, when they begin to show up in your dreams less and less and less, and eventually not at all. And you become unattractive to narcissists because you no longer emit the frequency they feed on. So the narcissist is in your Taurus field so long as you continue to have a preponderance and believe in negative things about yourself. So if you think you're not worthy, that's an open door for a narcissist. If you think you're not good enough, that's an open door for a narcissist. If you think your trauma means you're less than, open door for a narcissist. If you think you're a second-class citizen, open door for a narcissist. If you think an eye for an eye, so therefore you better hurt other people, open door for a narcissist. If you want to get into arguments with the barista because they didn't get your oat milk order right, open door for the narcissist. Definitely still in the loop of why. How could you do this? Anxiety of them leaving. I know to come up and then I like to let it go. That's very good. That's you rehearsing those past arguments. It means, Brett, that energetically you're still entangled. So what is happening is not the evidence of a true relationship with a narcissist. It's that you are still playing the ancestral remaining loops in your mind. And those minds still make you resonant to the narcissist, therefore still resonant to manipulation, abuse, and gaslighting. And it's important that you begin to see the narcissist in the proper light. And seeing the narcissist in the proper light beauty is to realize that the narcissist is simply a demon or of demonic orientation. Because what the narcissist does every day they wake up is figure out new ways to keep people under their spiritual spell so they can thrive. Because the narcissist has a false self. Exactly. And the false self is what is very hard for you to believe, Brett. And Brett, if you want to come on board and ask a question, just hit the button. I'll invite you in. Because you still believe this narrative of the narcissist that you're not good enough. Because if you start to believe and know that you're good enough, yes, you might still find the narcissist attractive, whether they're familial or intimate, but you will not be resonant to the energy around them. Because when you start to love yourself, truly beautiful, when you start to really love yourself, it becomes painfully obvious when you're in a situation that doesn't feel like love. And so when you tolerate anything that doesn't feel like love, it means you haven't found love in yourself. I'm Rafaela. It's an invented reality. You said it, Rafaela. I'm Rafaela Silva. You said it. And it's all about being in the ego. But when you move to the heart, you no longer believe the things that they said about you or what anybody said about you, because you realize that the journey is all about self-initiation. 100% it's letting go of the version I believed them to be for so long. And that version they sold you, Brett, was an illusion. So when you begin to realize that the narcissist lives permanently in a place of hell, you realize, as Yvonne said, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high and low places. Did you see what I'm trying to tell you? This is the whole game. I have a sibling that seems like this, seems very much in the ego, beautiful guitar. This is exactly it. So the point is, the ego is useful so long as it helps you identify this is my body and this is my space. But the ego is quite useless when it comes to spiritual awakening because it just keeps you trapped in the same timeline as the narcissist. And I have to say this as clearly as I can. The narcissist is trapped in a hellish timeline. And although the narcissist may seem like they have many people around them, or they're very attractive, or they are winning and nothing bad happens to them, they are a narcissist because they are hell living in hell. Did anybody catch that? The narcissist is the personification of hell living in hell. In other words, if you woke up every day with the consciousness and mindset of a narcissist, you will feel so much empathy for them, you would stop judging yourself. This is why I say narcissists deserve our gratitude for teaching us what they taught us. Or let me say it in my case, what is not the mentality to have, sweetie? Can you clarify what you mean? So this is what I'm trying to say. Exactly. That you begin to realize that the narcissist, when they realize that you are about to elevate or elevating, they can't reach you. So the only way to reach you is to throw things at you that'll get you to come off your throne. And the moment you come off your throne, game over. You are in the same milieu as the narcissist. Yes, Jarul, please come up. Invite yourself. Invite yourself and you can ask your question, right? So this is the whole game. The whole game, the narcissist mindset, oh, they're really insecure. They're worse than insecure. What they have, sweetie, is a false self. So imagine when you wake up every day and you say, what am I today? Am I going to be like Bridget Jones? Am I going to be like Harrison Ford? Am I going to be like Denzel Washington? That's the narcissist dilemma every day. It's sad. It's so sad. Which is why when you realize it, you begin to have empathy for this narcissist. Empathy does not mean that you want to re-engage with them, right? But it's how you realize that they are very sad beings. And this is what they are, right? This is what happens to this narcissist. So it's exhausting. But they have to do this over and over and over again. Hi, Jarul. How you doing? I'm well. I can't really hear you. Can you speak up a little bit?
Can you hear me now?
Can you speak directly into your microphone?
Okay, I'm doing that. Can you hear me?
Okay, it's a little better. What's on your mind? How can we help?
Okay, I just want to thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
You touch a lot of life. Personally, you touch me. I'm also I was also a victim of that type of abuse.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. But your volume is so low. Can you speak up a little more into the microphone?
Hold on 1 minute.
Okay, maybe come back when your microphone is fixed. But this is the whole deal. So you realize that if you're still resonant to a narcissist, it means that you are still trapped in loops of self-hate. Okay, I know this sounds a little controversial, but I'm going to say, by the grace of God, this is exactly it. If you're still resonant to a narcissist, or you're thinking about the narcissist or hoping they would change, you're in that place because you still have some self-hate. And until you resolve that, these narcissists are always going to run amok. Because a narcissist, from a magnetic standpoint, can only attach to another person if there's resonance. And the resonance the narcissist needs is hate. Angie Sharma, how can you undo the thinking that they have convinced themselves that you're the narcissist, the real person? Because the way you know it, Angie, is simple. Is to know that one of the tactics used by a narcissist is gaslighting. So anything the narcissist accuses you of is something that they're doing. So the way you undo that thinking is anytime you're accused by the narcissist of something, you have to reject the accusation and point it back in the right place. And it gets exhausting for them. They stop doing that. Do you have a shift in timeline after you encounter? Of course you do, Olamoran. Of course. Because what narcissistic abuse is initiation. And by the way, you did not attract the new narcissist in your life by accident. You attracted a narcissist in your life because you were initiated by a narcissist as a child. And you were initiated by a narcissist who was either a mother, a father, or both, or the early caregivers in your life. If you didn't grow up with your mother or father, it could be grandparents, foster parents, aunties, uncles, etc. Thank you, Angie. I hope that answered your question, right? This is what they do. So anybody wants to ask a question, just invite yourself via video, or we'll just read the comments on YouTube. So Damalgam, perfect sense. I just had a lecture about the heart's electromagnetic field. This is unreal. It is real, Damalgam. Child of God, I love the books, but I realized I was in a book club led by a knock. Do I let go of the books, burn them? Can I just pray over the books? Say more. What kind of books were you reading? Damalgam, they have to make you react to stoop down to your level. That's how they do it. And Bossy Truth, you live in narcissism. I'm so sorry. My mother simply criticized me for no reason, and she just said pain into me, even though I didn't do anything. I isolate. That's the trick. And I really hope it ends for you soon, Bossy Truthy, that you're able to escape and find peace, because you are in hell. And the way to escape hell is to start loving yourself. Christian One Love, I appreciate you. Can you mention the traits of a narcissist? Yes, the narcissist, when you say the traits, Francis, do you mean the cycle? Because the cycle the narcissist goes through is first love bombing, idealization, then devaluation, then discard, then hoover, then love bombing again. And the traits of a narcissist is they're very good actors, they're very self-centered, they're very grandiose. Some of them can be extremely attractive. They're very intelligent, and everything they do is self-serving and transactional. And if you listen closely to a narcissist, you realize that they're incapable of self-reflection, although they're very good predators at reading people. So I am Rafaela. I'm always attracted to narcissists. I still do that to this day. The difference for me now is that they don't get past the week. Brilliant. It means that you're beginning to love yourself more. Therefore, when you're in a situation that is incongruent with self-love, you catch it faster. And the more you get deep into your practices of self-love, then eventually you get to a point where you become unresonant to the narcissist. They deflect. You become unresonant to the narcissist. And part of it also means that, I'm Rafaela, I don't know what your situation is. If you want to come on video, we can talk. But I'll say this. The reason why you're still attracted narcissists in your life is because you haven't fully healed. And so the message here is to spend time on self-love so that you don't attract them at all. You see what I'm saying? Incapable of self-reflection, gaslight. That's exactly what they cannot self-reflect. And that's why they live with their false self, which is why when the narcissist encounters you, it becomes their biggest defeat. Because let me give you a secret. Before you, the narcissist was undefeated. I don't think you heard me. Before you, the narcissist was undefeated. And the narcissists like to play God. Just like Yadko is saying this song called Play God featuring Lee Scratch Perry. This is Play God. This is what the narcissists try to do. So this song, Play God, is for all, it's an anti-narcissist anthem. Yadko, Jamaica's finest, Play God. This is Yadko featuring Lee Scratch Perry. Yeah. So this is what they do. Hi, May Kay. You see? So the way you stop attracting narcissists is to start investing faith in your self-love. They met their match. And that's all of us here. Because before the narcissist met you, they got away with kicking people around. I didn't want TikTok, but I'm getting it now because Damalgam, that means a lot. One love, Damalgam. That's true love. I appreciate you, yeah? I really appreciate you. So this is what it is. It's their illusion. It is their illusion, you see? This is what they do. This is what they do, the narcissist. And to become unresonant to the narcissist is to be, it's an assignment. It's to be in a place of self-acceptance. Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I am well. So tell us, what has been your experience? What's been happening to you, Rafaela? What's your story?
So my mother was a narcissist. She's still a narcissist, not was, but still is.
Yeah.
My grandmother was also a narcissist. She was an overt narcissist. So her was more the pity, the self-pity, and the way she manipulated was the whole silence treatment kind of sort of thingy. And then later on I discovered that my dad was also a narcissist. Right. So, family, a lot of abuse in the family, a lot of domestic violence happening all the time. And I've always, when I look back into my life, all the connections that I've had in terms of relationship, not just boyfriends but also friends, like women, girlfriends that were actually narcissists. But I didn't realize that until later on when I began to learn more about myself. And I began to say, well, I'm surrounded by narcissists. And so, at one point, I was in a relationship that was so bad because I was in a relationship with a narcissist that was a sociopath. Ooh. And I attempted to run away 3 times. The 3rd time I was successful, and I had, really bad PTSD. Now I was actually hiding. I thought everybody was in on there. That's how crazy it was. But it was my wake-up call to begin to love myself. That was he was the sociopath was, like you said, when you talk about being, having gratitude for them. Even though, I wish sometimes I can throw them somewhere and, I don't know, just be destroyed. At the same time, I am grateful for the level of abuse that he put me through, because it was that level of abuse that really said, something is wrong, something's off here, and I need to figure out what that is. Right. And so I began to work on myself, to the work of healing, somatic work. You're talking about the body keeps the score. I started doing somatic work. I started removing the trauma out of my body. I began to go back in time and look at my family history. So I really began to do the work and then the spiritual work, spiritually, why is this happening in my life? What is my purpose, And I realized that my main purpose in this world was to not only learn self-love, but also eventually to have universal love. Like how to truly... And I found that out through human design, that my incarnation was to not only learn to self-love, but also to teach other people how to love unconditionally, universal love. So then I understood as to why every single person that I connected with was, to this day, it makes them show up. But now I have the awareness why they're there. It doesn't go, some of them don't go past 2 hours. I can pick up so fast. Like, oh my gosh, there it is. Oh my gosh, there it is. Oh my gosh, there it is. I'm like, you know what? It's not going to work for me. So I quickly can say that now without any fear, because I used to have so much fear of telling someone, okay, I'm just not interested in you. But it's not there anymore. And I'm learning to deal with my fear. Whenever fear shows up, I tell myself there's nothing to be afraid of. So a lot of inner child work has taken place as well. Making sure that I always tell myself I'm safe, I am loved, I'm protected. So that's what it took for me. So like I said, the less time they are passing my life, it just tells me I'm one step closer to being obsolete. That's what I tell myself now. Like before, I used to get really upset. Like, why is it still coming up? Yeah. But now it's like, oh my gosh, I'm one step closer. Oh my gosh, I'm one step closer. Almost like you're running a race and you got one more leg. Okay, just one more. You're almost at the finish line. So that's how I look at it now. The less time that they have access to me, the closer I am to that being obsolete.
You know why that's powerful, what you're just sharing right there, Rafaela, because you're pointing to the path of the journey where one realizes that the call is to become a moral person, not a self-righteous person.
Yeah.
And how does your morality rise? By being in direct interface with highly demonic activity. And the more you're faced with demonic activity, the less those demons can activate in you. That's the beginning of morality, a moral discourse, because a spiritual seeker has to be a moral being. An empath is a moral being. And how do you become moral without the turpitude of religion?
Yeah.
But moral based on your own self-initiation.
Yeah.
And you cannot come to this morality if you're still enticed by the five senses. You have to be enticed by the heart energy, not the eyes, not the touch, not these things. And when you transcend that, of course, we are still human beings, and so we express ourselves in those ways. But the part of your journey you are in is how you've released, you've forgiven, and now you're sealing your morality. Because how do you provide healing to other people and talk about one consciousness and universal consciousness when you're not a moral being? What are you going to offer? You're going to offer duality.
That of integrity.
And you're talking about non-duality, no separation.
Right.
So how do you come into non-duality in yourself? Union, divine union. That's where you are.
Yeah.
And maybe for a brief period, you might even find yourself going through a nun phase or a monk phase, or what Joseph Campbell calls hermit mode.
Well, I've been in a hermit mode for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And I've been in hermit modes in time periods. I've been in hermit mode since 2023.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% okay with it. I don't miss anything. I don't feel sad about it. I enjoy the hermit mode. For some people, like, why is she so... I love where I am. I love in that space of being a hermit. I get so much downloads. I get so much understanding, and so that's is exactly where I am right now.
That's exactly it. And I want to say for you, before you go, and then I'll call on you, Aramito, in just a second. Before you go, I already see where you're going. Because you've been in the valley of a shadow of death or hell. That medicine of having both of your parents and your grandmother, that medicine of you breaking that generational curse in both of your bloodlines. Because this is how gangster you are. Let me just talk to you now. What makes you so gangster is you've broken 2 bloodlines that have the curse of demons. And the curse of demons is the curse of narcissistic abuse. You've broken it not just in your mother's bloodline, but in your father's bloodline as well.
I never even thought about my dad's bloodline, but thank you for pointing it out.
So why do you think your journey has been the way it has been? So this is how the mother-father curates your medicine, so that those who are assigned to you when you're fully embodied find you. And then some people say, I get paid for just being myself. No, you went through a long training. This is the medicine. And then that medicine makes you a lighthouse, Raphael. And what does a lighthouse do? Attract ships and guide them the right way. The metaphorical lighthouse. I'm sure they're AI lighthouses now. But this is what it is. And how do you become a lighthouse? By being able to stand alone during hermit mode. By being able to go against the family lineage and say, I'm not going to be a victim. Because guess what? You stood up in a way that your mother couldn't, your grandmother couldn't, her mother couldn't, your father couldn't, his father couldn't, his father couldn't. That's 7 to 14 generations. That's the National Institute of Health. NIHS, the trauma gene, epigenetically is passed on between 7 to 14 generations. So we're talking about 7 to 14 generations of hate and demonic activity.
Wow.
Am I talking to you or am I making this up? This is what you've been through.
And the interesting is that I have no children.
So you knew that you didn't want to pass it on unless you were ready. Because if not, what they were going to be worse.
It would have.
Yes. But you have adult children that will come your way as the mother, the divine feminine. As the divine feminine. This is your job. So you embrace this sense of inner morality. It accelerates you to becoming the healer that you're meant to be. The healer that you are discovering. So that's for you. And before you go, this is Yardcore, Ghetto Youth. This is for all the empaths who've been through feelings of trauma. Yeah, this is the incantation. This is for you. Woo! Selassie, You know what dancing is? That's commanding the heavens to fight on your behalf. Woo! Come on, Yakov. That's for you.
Thank you.
That's for you. So remember, the space of your journey is to develop your inner morality in the hell realm. That's how you remain in heaven. Right here on this terra firma. So that's the message. What are your closing comments for everyone who's listening before you leave?
The closing comment is speak your truth. Be authentic. No matter what anyone says, no matter who's going to come against you, because they will come against you. But the more you do, the more you're honest about who you are, the more you speak your truth, the more you vomit the poison that's inside. And sometimes that poison might take a few vomits before it can actually come all the way out. The body might feel a little weird when you start, but just trust yourself, trust your body, and just keep pouring whatever it is out. I don't care how many times you got to tell the story, keep telling the story until it's all out of you. So that's my word for that.
It's so beautiful to hear you say that. You're welcome back here anytime. And I also look forward to seeing you on this path in your embodied state as well. You see?
Yes.
So that's the message to you, and just keep tuned in and keep coming out. Yes.
Yeah.
Blessed love. Yeah. One love.
Thank you.
One love. One love. Good to see you. Man. Ciao, 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 ciao. That was beautiful. And this is what it is. And if you want to get more of this, consider signing up for my upcoming masterclass on June 27th to the 29th, Escaping Narcissistic Abuse Masterclass live on Zoom. Me too. How you doing?
Hello, family.
It's been a while. How's life in your neck of the woods in Europe?
Oh, you know what? Right now I'm speechless because the lady
Mm-hmm.
was saying like.
Are you there, Amita? Say again.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, now I can hear you now. What were you saying? The lady was saying what?
I was feeling like she was telling my story.
Oh.
So I would love to know where she comes from, because this is the message that we all are. Okay, maybe we are not the same by where we come from or whatever,
Yes.
But our journey, as you see, could be the same because we all are humans, right?
That's right.
So I was just listening to you guys and I was like, whoa. And I also heard her saying she is actually a dance teacher.
That's
when
right.
You said like this and that.
That's right.
And I was like and I'm a dance teacher, right?
That's right.
So,
that's right. That's right.
And so that's amazing. And I want to say again, as usual, thank you. Thanks God I found you as well.
Oh.
Yes, and found it like it was December, I think, last year.
Yes.
And now it's June.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you a lot has changed since then.
Since we talked, what has changed?
Yeah, and I kept going, to my light, and the light is here, but it's heavy. It's heavy, and the lady said that, you need to talk your story until you finished like vomiting all toxicity you have in you.
That's right.
And one of the question was that, like, when it will be gone, because always, as soon as you feel like, "Oof, okay, this is over,"
There's more.
something else pop out.
You know, I got it. And I have a simple answer for you. Right? A simple answer from the conversation with Rafaela. The simple answer is the way you know it's going to go away is based on your sincerity of effort. So if you're sincere about healing, you don't have to worry about the timeline. If you're sincere about self-love and you are consistent, sincerity and consistency. So sincerity, the level of your sincerity dictates how quickly you overcome it. And consistency is the guarantee that you will overcome it. It's very difficult to be consistent, to do something every day, forgive every day, meditate every day, dance every day, be grateful every day. And the reason for consistency is, so according to behavior science, it takes about 7 days to start a new routine, 30 days to make it a bit of a habit, and 90 days to make it a lifestyle. So if you want to make embodying truth a lifestyle, forgiveness a lifestyle, purging a lifestyle, you have to do this for at least 90 days every day without thinking about when is it going to happen. And, I have a wonderful teacher. Her name is Toire. She often tells me that is what you do to try to heal. And then there's what happens on its own as you're sincere about healing. And there's what you do to get the Dharma. And then there's what the Dharma does after it's clear that you're sincere. You see, this is the whole game. So all you need is sincerity of purpose, and you also need consistency. And when you have sincerity of purpose and consistency, you never have to think about the timeline, right? Because you realize that anything that happens to you is all good. It's all part of the education. Right? So when you embrace everything with gratitude, that's also an acceleration of your timeline. You see? And when you do this, this is how you naturally quantum jump, by already acting as if and being consistent on a daily basis. You shift the timeline gap between the old self and the born again self. You see what I'm saying to you, Aramita? Yeah, this is the whole story, right? And so with the burden you're realizing is that this light is not just for ego. Oh, look, I'm an empath. But it's actually, it's for a mission. It's for a mission.
Yes, that's a mission, because I have forgiven everybody, especially myself, right? But what I want to tell you is, every day I get stronger, right? And the truth I see is so clear. Sometimes I feel like I'm gonna stay alone. But that loneliness is not a bad thing. I know already, my heart knows that it's not like.
Do you know why it feels lonely? Or should I tell you? The loneliness is proof of how rare we are. Because it is very rare for a person to go through a world of wickedness and come out still kind. It is very rare for a human to be abused and not become an abuser. It's very rare for a human to be bullied and not become a bully. That is a unique state of heart, which is why you've been chosen. And so the moment you accept the call of being chosen is when you begin to understand your initiation. And then you go through a period of preparation. You see? So how can you be different but prepared amongst people? If you're prepared amongst people, you'd be like everybody else. That's why you're prepared in silence and in private. So the first thing you realize is you're rare, because the average person will become the abuse, and we don't. Are you getting what I'm trying to tell you, Aramita, my sister?
100%, because
yes,
even at first you feel maybe even rage,
Yes.
And but time after time, even that is gone.
That's right.
You have no hate for even the people who hurt you before.
That's right. That's right.
You know?
That's right. You know where that comes from? Mashallah. Aramita, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Do you know where that comes from?
I know.
Let me ask you a question. Look at the earth now. Look at all the children on the earth. Look at how badly we act, but who still loves us?
God.
So when you still have love for your narcissist, who are you embodying?
God, dear God.
So if you're embodying the characteristics of God, what does that make you? We are loved, Don Marie.
Yeah, we became God, but it doesn't mean like we are better than somebody else.
That's right. That's exactly right. Because whatever you practice, you become.
Love.
So when you practice love, what do you become?
Light.
That's it. That's a simple equation.
And I think that part is which feels so heavy.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
To hold the light for the world.
It is. But you see, that's why we're here in this community together. This is not accidental. This is why we activate each other, because all of us are connected to other people. We activate each other to go deeper and deeper into our own search and our own understanding. So we're here sharing without judgment, so we can be stronger in our individual walks. That we come together, and this is one way to do it. You see, that you realize that there are other people like you. You're not just a strange outlier, but what is happening to you is real, spiritually real or physically real. We're attuned to a beautiful guitar. Exactly, Francis. This is what it's about. You see, so coming to this is coming to truth. And coming to truth, you have to think about it. Why at this time? This interesting time in 2025.
Right.
What a privilege. Right. What a privilege, isn't it?
It's a big privilege because, I mean, you know, this is the era of social media, and you know, you can choose what are you going to spread, what are you going to receive, you know, like you have that you can choose, you know. That's right. But you don't. I mean, you don't have to be the same like everybody else around you.
No.
Because that's very easy.
Exactly. So you're waking up to the fact that people used to treat you differently, not because you spoke a different language or looked a different way. It's because your energetic signature was not like them.
You see, and my question, the latest question, okay, is like why they need to lie. Like, truth is better than lie. Truth is the light. I mean, if you say the truth and you ask for the truth and you live in the truth, you are okay. I mean, you don't need anything more, you know, like. Exactly.
But you're speaking from a position of a person who has a heart that's oriented towards love. But imagine this. If you come into it, you see, I said this earlier. Let me explain why it's easier for people to tell the lie than the truth.
Okay.
So biblically, so from a Christian standpoint, the Christians, there's a saying, I think it's from Romans 3:28. It goes like this. I usually say this often. The world is corrupt. It goes like this. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. That's what the Christians say. It's Romans 3:28. Then in Buddhism, the first noble truth of the Four Noble Truths says, life is suffering. So these two examples I've given you prove that this planet is a very difficult planet. At the moment you enter this planet with your pure state, the first thing that happens to you is conditioning, which is corruption.
See?
So the thing of the empath is going through a process of remembrance, so we go back to the uncorrupted state. So when you see people who are corrupted and you become uncorrupted, will you judge somebody for being corrupted? No, because you know why they're corrupted. Because that's the standard. That's normal. You see? And so when you begin to get past this is when you begin to wake up to your true nature. You see what I'm saying, my sister?
Yes, that's very true, because even like you don't have like, let's say, money, okay, because that's what everybody wants, let's say, everybody, okay?
Right.
So even though you don't have that much money,
yes,
but you have people who are rich as
because you have something that is priceless. Don't you know the diamond that exists in you? That's why in Buddhism there's also something called the Diamond Sutra. That's the state of your heart. That's why people will be envious and jealous, and you're like, I don't have anything. Why do they envy me? Don't you see the game, Aramita?
Yeah, but once you start, trusting yourself, you see even these things, like
Voila.
you are not asking anymore, like why this is happening like this, why.
That's right.
You
That's right.
already know, and what you need to do is believe that feeling, like yes, it is like yes, that is it. You don't need to ask anymore.
Exactly.
Accept it.
Exactly. And what you're talking about is coming to the end of having questions. And the point of having no more questions is a point of silence. And the point of silence is where the divine lives.
Oh my God.
Why do you think I go on silent retreats? I'm going on another one next week. So Aramita, there's one more call. I want to take that, but you're welcome here anytime. And I'm also having a masterclass on June 27th to 29th. So you can check that out on the website, but come back anytime, right?
Okay.
All right, my sister. One love always. Yeah, one love.
Thank you for your encore as well.
Oh, I appreciate. Oh, yeah, you love that, right?
Right.
One love. Oh, that's beautiful. Take one more before we call it a day. One more. This transformation takes a lot of work. Yvonne, it does. We had years of conditioning. This is exactly it. Hey, hi, Praise Warners. How you doing?
Hey, one love to you.
One love. Well, tell us, what have you got for us, Queen? Because I know what you're coming with. I know you're coming with the righteousness. Let's hear it.
Well, of course, we've been both, deconstructing and learning and growing and healing. I just wanted to encourage those of us who, we're taught that the world tells us that basically our heart should change, when we come across abuse or narcissistic abuse or anything like that. But what I wanted to speak to was the fact that I myself learned that just because my heart didn't change, it didn't make me wrong. I was expecting my heart to change after all of these people had done these things, and because my heart didn't change, I kind of questioned, well, am I okay?
Mm-hmm.
No, our heart won't change, because if you are light or if you are love, your heart remains light. Your heart remains love. And what happens is, just because you know why that person is doing what they're doing, it doesn't give that person access to your light.
Right.
When you start to learn the self-respect,
yes,
you start to realize that, okay, if this person is not in alignment with respect and love and light, then no, they cannot be around me. This is where the first love yourself,
That's exactly
comes
right.
from.
That's exactly
And I wanted to say, on the other side of that, I'm looking at, it's okay for me to still love a person that hurt me.
Yes.
It's not okay for that person to be around me. And I had to learn that self-respect is, I'm going to still carry this love. I'm still going to carry this light for people, this compassion, all these things. But what it is I had to learn that my self-respect was first and foremost.
That's exactly
my protection of myself was first and foremost. I can still carry love. It's still okay to love. And that's one of the things that I wasn't taught. It's okay to still love a person that did these things to you, because you are love.
That's right.
Because you are light.
That's
but
right.
What's not okay is for that person or that place or that whatever it is to continue to be around you.
Exactly.
Hold the protection
exactly.
For yourself for that. And so I just wanted to encourage anyone else out there feeling like, why do I still love this person? It's like, you're going to continue to love. You're going to continue to have that light in your heart. You can continue to want the best for that person, because that's who you are. That's what chosen means.
That's right.
Everybody, like you said, can't walk away from abuse and not become an abuser.
Exactly right.
We can walk away from those things that people have done and that will continue to do. They'll continue to be that way and still have love for them, and it's okay. You just protect yourself.
You said it. You said, in the Buddhist framework, there's this notion of becoming skillful. And becoming skillful as you become moral is how you're able to navigate this world you're talking about. It's called skillfulness, where you look at things from three perspectives, whether this thing is wholesome, unwholesome, or neither, right? And then in the Christian world, it talks about discernment, that when you embody kindness and compassion, it also activates this God given discernment that is more ruthless than anything out there. And when you activate this discernment, is how you're able to preserve your heart and not cast your pearl before swine. I think this is what you're saying, my dear sister. Is this not?
Absolutely.
This is
absolutely.
it. This is
and
it.
It's across all planes.
Exactly.
You know, the discernment, the inability or the ability to align yourself with things that are true,
Exactly.
love,
Exactly.
and care.
Exactly.
And so those type of things, I believe, are there. These are the lessons that we learn. You know, it becomes, you know, this happened for me.
Exactly.
So learn how to discern.
You said it. You said it. Can you say that part again? This is happening for who?
This is happening for me.
I didn't hear you. Can you say it again, please?
This is happening for me, not to me.
Oh, beautiful words.
Absolutely.
You said it, high praise wellness, and I always appreciate hearing you and feeling your spirit, and you've blessed us with some wise words. And I just want to send it back to you, and may your discernment be at the level of the divine.
Thank you so much, and appreciate your work as always.
Always. Thank you so much, and see you again soon. Yes, one love always. One love. There's only one. One love. So we'll take one more. Yvonne, come on in. Wow. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. And if you're inclined, remember to join my masterclass June 27th to 29th on live on Zoom and more on innerminds.com. Yvonne, how you doing?
Hey, sir, how are you?
All is well. So tell us, you're anchor for the day, the last caller. So tell us what is coming up for you and what do you want to share?
Well, what's coming up for me, as you know, is major changes. My part of my story, not that I in a home where my parents were narcissistic, but there was dysfunction. And that dysfunction groomed me to be a target for narcissistic abuse. So that's where my awareness came in. You know, your light that you shine is not always by you being conditioned from a narcissist from an early age. I grew up in a home where there was sometimes domestic violence, there was alcoholism, but it was functioning. You understand? I grew up in an upper-class neighborhood. The function didn't become apparent until things started to fall apart. And that was later on in my latter adult life. So, but it was for the parent that was the alcoholic.
Yikes.
But to put a good story on that spin on is now that the alcoholic is now the patriarch of the family and is holding it all together. Took a total shift in his life.
Wow.
So, but my conditioning happened because of the dysfunction. And it's just really recently now, because that term narcissist is so popular right now, I had a hard time really calling a person a narcissist because I heard a lot of people using it, but they were using it in the wrong context.
That's right.
So you have to do your research and make sure that the person that is dysfunctional is actually a narcissist and not someone that just may have some problems. But know that light attracts good and evil. If you turn a light on outside in the summertime, here you got mosquitoes and everything else coming to that light, as well as that light being a beacon of light for me to find my way into my home. So you have to understand that if you're going to be a beacon of light in this world, you're going to attract a lot of darkness. And like my sister said earlier, your first caller that called in from Brazil, listen, you got to keep vomiting that stuff up, you know. And this is kind of, actually I had a stomach ache last night.
Oh.
And I had to regurgitate, yes. And when I thought I had it all out, it wasn't all out. I had to go back a second time. So you have to listen to the clues that your nervous system gives you as far as the energy that you are around. and regurgitate and let go of it, because there wasn't an immediate effect to my system. And as you let go of that at your pace, the wellness will catch up with you.
You know, what you're talking about is exactly it. It's hard to see loved ones do things that are based on their trauma. And so that's part of the sickness that we have to purge from. Because the empath wants to believe, oh, no, there couldn't have been that bad, or maybe I was just misreading the thing. And it's a real somatic release, this purge. And purging is not only physical, you're pointing to. It's also it's largely spiritual as well. An energetic purge, right? A psychological purge, to the point where you're no longer resonant to these energies is what we're talking about, right? And when you're no longer resonant to the energies, the question becomes, well, narcissistic abuse, or often maligned or overused, why was it my experience?
Mm-hmm.
And when
that was my first question.
Yes, to yourself. And what was your answer? What did you discover?
I discovered that I was hurt and I was broken and I was compensating for a childhood trauma. And like, as you know now, my role in an alcoholic home that I took on was the giver and the caretaker and making sure that everybody was okay. That was the role I took on as a young child. Everybody else is okay in the house, then I'm okay.
Yeah. Where were you? Where were you in the birth? Where were you in the birth order?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I am actually a twin, and I'm a middle child.
Ooh.
So I'm an overachiever.
Wow.
And I'm the firstborn. I'm the firstborn and the twin. I came first, and then my sister Yvette came after.
So you know what this is telling me? Why this happened to you for a long time? You want to hear it?
I'd love to hear it.
You're so resolute in non-judgment and goodness that it even was extended to situations where obviously narcissistic, but your good-naturedness and your energy overrode the depth and gravity of what was happening. So you developed a deep capacity for discomfort as a result.
Yes. Yeah, it became very comfortable. And when it wasn't, you can create chaos when you don't have chaos.
That's right.
Because it's familiar to you, because subconsciously.
Exactly.
So recently there have been, and I love the conversation you had last Friday with Abby, because I had a trip this past weekend where I went to see family that I hadn't seen in 7 months. And it was a good trip because it was a beautiful trip with my dad, but I noticed a lot of passive aggressive behavior from two of my siblings. And but let me tell you how I combated that. And I think part of my stomach ache was from what I encountered over the weekend.
Yep.
But I played the music and I danced, and what God had me wake up with listening, I went from heavy metal on Saturday morning before I left to on the drive back listening to jazz and just some mellow music. So the music geared me up for what I did not know I was going to encounter. But Spirit knew ahead of time what I was going to encounter. So it got my spirit ready for what I was going to encounter. So when I encountered it, it was a blow, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah.
So in my room alone by myself that night, I danced it off and had a great time with the divine. But yeah.
This is how it is. And it's just so unfortunate that our loved ones usually show the toxic signs early, right? And it's so disappointing to see that loved ones will be hurtful.
Well, can I tell you that the divine told me that it's always been there, but it's something that I denied seeing until
now. Because you are so resolute in your goodness. You're like, I'm not going to judge. She can't be that. He can't be that. No.
And I've always accepted this. And I felt that there was some tension between my twin and my other sister over the years. And I've tried to calling and
Yeah.
checking in and all of this.
Yeah.
But when that cut out, like Abby said, people are like, "Are you okay?" In my case, it wasn't even a phone call. It was like not even an acknowledgement that you're even in town.
Wow.
So one of my daughters went with me, and I was like, Madison, God told me that it's been like this the whole time, but I just refused to see it.
You refuse to see it.
But now I see it.
Now, let me ask you a final question. How's your relationship with your twin? Uh-oh.
It's good, but I think there is, I hate to say it, there's jealousy there.
Yeah. So the reason I asked you this is because I'm just reconfirming for you that you have a calling, although you don't need me to. And the calling is equal and tantamount to this sort of subtle Josephian or Josephesque kind of experience, right? If I can put it that way. And because you're so deeply incapable of judgment, right? It's sort of your strength, but now it is your absolute strength. But perhaps in the past was the thing that kept you trapped to these karmic contracts.
Yes.
And so this is what it is. You're just born into these families because you have a calling, and
It's my assignment.
It's your assignment, and you've embraced it in many ways. But this is the time not just to embrace it, but to embody it fully. This is the message.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now it's time, like you said, like everybody's been saying, now it's time to pass it on to
Exactly.
whoever. Like the woman said earlier, even if it's for an hour,
That's
you
it.
can spot really quick.
That's it.
You know?
That's it. You see it very quickly. And the reason why we see it very quickly is because our relationship with ourselves is becoming more divine. It's different. So then you see what doesn't feel like love or doesn't feel genuine, because the same goes, people can only meet you deeply as they've met themselves.
Right. And if they're not out where I am, I'm not going back there.
For what? For what? So
I tell her from a distance.
Exactly. But there's one more thing I'll leave you with, Yvonne, if I may. Are you familiar? I know you are. The law of assumption.
Yes.
That's where you are.
Okay. Let me take that in.
I'm going to say it again. The law of assumption.
Okay.
Everything is rigged in my favor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The law of assumption.
With what we talked about Friday about the calling, Saturday was necessary.
Yes.
This weekend was necessary for the calling.
Yes.
God is speeding things up, and we're in a time of acceleration.
Accelerate. Yes.
And the world is things are changing
fast.
It's a demand. And I've been seeing a lot of fives lately. 555.
Yes.
And I know that number represents transformation and change.
Synchronicities. Yes.
Yes. So,
law of assumption.
It's
the law of assumption will combat any feeling of ennui or inertia or where do I start? It's just the law of assumption. The law of assumption. The law of assumption. The law of assumption. Not motivation. Not do I feel like it. Not how do I start. The law of assumption. The wrong start is significantly better than no start.
And can I tell you
Yes.
that the Lord has touched my imagination?
Of course.
Because there was a time in my life where I could just be driving and thinking and just this whole scenario playing out. And I know because of narcissistic abuse, that's tried to shut down. But recently, God has just had me where I'm just daydreaming and I'm thinking of things and I'm using my imagination. And he said, Yvonne, this is not a vain imagination. This is what I've called to think. So you're confirming that with the law of assumption for me. And
That's it. That's it. So you heard it. Come back anytime. But I want to exhort you with the law of assumption. That's what I want to exhort you with. And I can't wait to see what that looks like. Yes? I can't wait to see what that looks like. Always a pleasure, everyone. Thank you so much. Yeah? One love. Yeah? See you soon. One love. So we're closing with this from Sun Ra. Space is the place. Space is the place. Sun Ra. Space is the place. Don Marie, one love. Lauren Rose, the law of assumption means taking action knowing that everything is rigged in your favor. It comes from Neville Goddard. Everyone, I want to thank you so much for your heart, for your energy. We went on a little longer than usual, but that's okay. I want to send you peace and light. And if you're interested, join my masterclass on June 27th to 29th. You can enroll on my website, innermileage.com. This is a masterclass focused on escaping narcissistic abuse from June 27th to 29th. Hope to see you there. Sending you good energy. Space is the place. Space is the place. Space is the place. Peace and light, folks. One love, one love, one love, one love. One love is the place. Space is the place. Oh.